I welcome you all to our Indian polity class. In the last class, we have seen various kinds of writs. We have seen habeas corpus and mandamus. We have also seen what is continuing mandamus. It is a new thing which you should remember. Supreme Court has in many cases issued, that is the mandamus, the supervision, accomplishment will till it is completed, till the directions fully completed, the mandamus, the command, the order will continue. That is the intention of continuing mandamus. Normally Supreme Court will appoint amicus curiae and he will report to Supreme Court the progress of the case. That is the intention. Third, we are coming to prohibition. What is prohibition? Prohibition means to forbid, to prevent, to stop. This is issued by the higher court to the lower court, higher court to lower court, or tribunal, to prevent that court from exceeding its jurisdiction. That court has no jurisdiction. That court is trying to usurp the jurisdiction. It is issued by the Supreme Court and High Court, Supreme Court under Article 32, High Court under Article 226. It is issued by the higher court to the lower court, remember, to the lower court. It is not issued against the administrative authorities, most important. Neither legislative bodies nor private individuals. Only judicial or quasi-judicial authorities. That point you should remember. I will give an example. Let us say there is a small village with taluk headquarters. Only second class magistrate is there. Let us presume there is a murder which has taken place. So FIR filed and arrests made, and the public APP, normally they are assistant public prosecutor, he will file the case before the second class magistrate. Everything is final. Unfortunately or fortunately, he has confessed also, the accused has confessed, and it is almost the case is final. It has been filed, the case has been taken to the second class magistrate. Now what the second class magistrate should do? He will commit the case to the sessions because it is not in his jurisdiction. It is not within his jurisdiction to try the case of murder. It is not in his jurisdiction. So what he is expected to do? He should simply say that I commit the case to the sessions because the competence is only with the sessions. If the punishment is a murder, punishment is the death sentence, then it has to be confirmed with the High Court. This is the CRPC. Now, our wonderful second class example only, second class magistrate, he started trying. He asked the PP to produce the witness, cross-examination. She started. So at this stage, you file a writ of prohibition asking the higher court to issue direction to the lower court to stop, prevent. You are usurping the jurisdiction of the sessions court. You are encroaching the jurisdiction of the sessions court. Don't go further, stop. This is called prohibition. So it prohibits, remember, it prohibits further course of action. You compare now mandamus and prohibition. Mandamus commands activity, prohibition commands inactivity. Mandamus is against administrative authorities and this prohibition is against judicial and quasi-judicial authorities. So this is the difference, and that is the mandamus means we order. It has to be continuous. And there is a continuing mandamus, whereas here there is no such continuing mandamus. Then comes certiorari, to be certified, to be informed. Certiorari means, I gave the same example, let us say. The same example, in our example I said the second class magistrate in a village, in a taluk headquarters. He started trying the case. So he is usurping the jurisdiction. For example's sake, let us say the second class magistrate not only he tried the case, he had given the verdict also. He had given the punishment also. He said the person, the accused, should be hanged till death. It has been decided. He has issued the judgment also. So here not only he usurped the jurisdiction, not only he encroached the jurisdiction, not only he exceeded the jurisdiction, but he had given an order which is unlawful. So your writ should be certiorari. To nullify an order issued illegally, and to nullify an order which is issued unlawfully. So to nullify an order which is issued unlawfully, that is called certiorari. So what is the difference between prohibition and certiorari? Prohibition is preventive. It is a preventive. Prohibition is preventive. Certiorari, curative. Prohibition is issued during the pendency of proceedings. Certiorari is issued, it can be simultaneous also. Prohibition and certiorari can go together. So, to nullify an illegal order, that is certiorari. What are the common features? Both are issued against the judicial and quasi-judicial authorities. Both are issued against the judicial and quasi-judicial authorities, but not against administrative authorities or legislative bodies. Prohibition is issued, as I said, during the pendency of the proceedings, while certiorari, when the final orders are issued with the intention to nullify an illegal order. However, nevertheless, remember, in 1991, Supreme Court has said that the certiorari can be issued against administrative authorities also. Finally, quo warranto meaning, next is we are coming to quo warranto. What is quo warranto? What is the meaning of quo warranto? Show your authority to hold this office. What is your authority to hold this office? It prevents illegal usurpation of public office. Very simple. It prevents the illegal usurpation of public office by a person. And a writ of quo warranto can be claimed by a person subject to certain conditions. A claim of a writ of quo warranto can be claimed by a person only if certain conditions are fulfilled. What is that? That office in question should be a public office, either created by constitution or created by law. For example, I will give you, there is a Malayali Sangam here, Malayali Association, or Tamil Sangam in Delhi. Let us say the secretary post, there is some dispute. So he is not eligible at all, and he has been elected. Can you file a quo warranto? No. It is not a public office. Secondly, in all other cases, the locus standi may be important. It is a locus standi, that is the person, aggrieved person. Here there is no need for aggrieved person. This is a public office. Anybody, if I have an interest, suppose Prime Minister, Election Commissioner, Lily Thomas case, for instance, CBC, these are all public offices where every person is interested in its rightful claimant occupying the post. So it is not issued in the case of any private character, office of private character. It can be claimed by the writ can be claimed by an interested person, not necessarily the person affected. And remember, most importantly, it is not issued as a matter of course. No routine. It is very rare. It is issued very rare. So, we have seen all the 5 writs: habeas corpus, mandamus, prohibition, certiorari, and quo warranto. All the 5 writs we have seen. Now, when you talk of, what is known as quo warranto and other writs, there are 2 other things you should know. There is a doctrine of laches and doctrine of res judica, res judicata. There are the 2 things. What is laches? Laches means delay. Laches means delay. Very simple, but very important. So match the following: res judicata, laches, you should remember, and curative petition. You should know, match the following. Each match the following will have not 1 mark, 2 marks it will be. So delay or laches. The basic principle of administration of justice is, remember, that the court will entertain only those who are vigilant, and they should know their rights. In other words, courts never encourages the indolent persons. The court will entertain only those who are vigilant and not those who sleep over their rights. The remedy under Article 32 should be sought within a reasonable time. Of course, in the Code of Civil Procedure, there is 90 days limit. Such a limit is not there for Article 32, but reasonable. Reasonable does not mean unreasonable extent of time. Unreasonable extent of it. You should satisfy the court that the delay is because of certain compelling reasons. If you satisfy the court, then it is the delay will be exempted. Next is res judicata. As in the case of delay, res judicata means that it is the public policy that there should be a finality to binding decision of the court of competent jurisdiction. You cannot go on file the case. You go to the High Court, you go to the Supreme Court, you go to the High Court again, you go to the Supreme Court again, then review petition, all these things. So once a decision has been taken, that is final. You cannot suppose Article 226 High Court has given a decision, okay, you can go to Supreme Court. There is no proper natural justice, there is no bar. But the same after 32, under Article 32, Supreme Court has given a decision, you again go to the High Court under Article 226. No. That is, it is the public policy that there should be a finality to decisions of the court of competent jurisdiction. And the parties to the litigation should not be vexed with the same litigation again and again. Remember, if a question has been once decided by the Supreme Court under Article 32, the same cannot be reopened again under Article 226 before the High Court. This is an important rule. This is very important rule. Remember. Next we are coming to, when we talk that there should be a finality of decision, there is one case called curative decision. Curative decision. There is a case Ghulam Sarwar versus State of UP of 1961, where Supreme Court held that the rule of res judicata does not apply in the case of habeas corpus. In the case of habeas corpus, it does not apply. Where the petitioner was refused a writ by the High Court, and he can file a writ of habeas corpus under Article 32 before the Supreme Court. So, in the case of res judica, the Supreme Court can always entertain under Article 32 if it is satisfied. So, there is res judica will not apply to a habeas corpus petition, because habeas corpus, it is a life and liberty. So, it should not, you should not say that it should be, it should not be allowed. It should be allowed. Now, we will now, the only one point, res judicata says that there should be a finality of decisions of all High Courts and Supreme Court. Okay, very good. But there is an exception in the form of curative decision. Curative decision. What is the curative decision? In Rupa Ashok Hura versus Ashok Hura case of 2002, Supreme Court held that in order to rectify the miscarriage of justice, because no person is infallible, we are all imperfect, all human beings are imperfect. Any institution created by a human being cannot be perfect. So, there is an imperfection, and every person is fallible, committed to, he is bound to commit mistakes. So, this is not only for others, it is applicable to the Supreme Court also. Having realized this, they have introduced what is known as curative decision in 2002. Very important. The detail we will see in the next class. Thank you.